Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Beating the bots. We have two replays for you today, and both of them, of course, are in the newbie matchmaking. I call them bots, but they're not actually bots. They are just bad players. Now, everyone seems to say, and everyone, I mean, they have got a right to say, when people see battles like this, you always get the comments, it's not a good game because they were against noobs. That is correct. That is correct indeed. But the other reason, sort of, you can counter that by saying, yes, the enemy have got bad players, but then so have I. So you do have to carry a lot more, and you still have to be very careful, especially when you're in a tank with not much armor, because they can still do damage. I mean, there's nothing worse than losing in a game in newbie matchmaking against a noob, when if you would have just played it a little bit more patient, then you would have been able to come away with the win, because they're not literally like 100% dumb. They can still do the job. Like these two guys here, not everyone is a bad player. You have to remember that when you have under 5,000 battles, not everyone is a bad player. Some people are rerolls, some people are new, that sort of maybe come from PC, or some people with a little bit of knowledge. It's not always bots, and it's not always very, very bad players. So occasionally we do have battles where we see that are really, really good, but yeah, of course, they wouldn't have got the damage, or they wouldn't have got the win if it was sort of in a game above 5k battles, or 5.5k, whatever it is. But nevertheless, we're still going to watch a couple of games here. We're watching Senna the God driving the T44. Now, I wanted to show this because it is a good battle. He plays really, really well, and it's a tank that I don't really see many replays from, and I like to do that every now and again. Like, I get a lot of replays sent, and I mean, I'm talking 800-900 replays sent to me every single update. There's a lot of replays I get, and the majority of them are probably the same kind of tanks, tier 10 or tier 9 or tier 8. But there's some tanks that you just never really see in replays, and this is one of them. The T44 is one of them. The T44 it's been power crept. It really has been power crept. It was one of the tanks back then in tier 8 it had nothing really. It had everything going for it, and it had nothing to compete with it, really. You have the Persian and tanks like that, but they didn't really compete with the tank until Wargaming sort of got the Type 59 in the game. This was just all on its own in tier 8, just wrecking things, and everyone was playing the T44 because everyone wanted to get to the T54, which is absolutely insane, and that is the next replay we're going to show today. It was the line to go for. Everyone wanted to go for this line, to get to the Heat 54, to get to the Object 140, which at the time was the tank to go for. No one really went for the T62A. It was more the Object 140. Now, if you look back at tournaments back sort of 5 years ago, or whenever it was, I think 4 years ago, the meta was literally 140 IS7. So in a tournament, you would have maybe 3 or 4 IS7s, and then 3 or 4 Object 140s. It was literally just, it was crazy. Just look at Twister Cup, the first Twister Cup, and how many 140s and how many IS7s were in those Twister Cup. So the T44, I do kind of feel sorry for it. It's still a good tank. It's a really good tank. Unless you're running the 120 millimeter, 122 millimeter, then yeah, it's not that great. It's one of the worst guns in the game for this tank. But other than that, playing it fully equipped, fully moduled out, all the parts, all the bells and whistles, it really is a good tank. You can still bounce on the turret. You can still bounce on the hull as well if you're lucky. It is an overall, it's a decent tank. It is still a decent tank nowadays, but it just gets overlooked, and because there's so many other medium tanks out there that are now better than the T44. So Senna, he's pumped out 4.4k damage at the moment, and he just has this the T29 to deal with. Now the T29, I mean, he at least he's capping. I mean, that's good for Senna, because there's not much other things he can do when you're up against a T44 with only sort of 2.5 minutes left on the clock. It's not quick enough to go searching on a map like this. So at least he has a little bit of sense. So Senna, he's managed to get that nice shot, and he's now going to go around and come from a different angle. He can actually take a shot away. You don't want to take that, but luckily this T29 is just shooting HE at the T44, so that is great for Senna. And you know, it's unless he manages to sort of get a weak spot, then he should be able to deal with this. I don't think at the moment he realizes he is shooting HE until sort of then, but he's still doing 100 damage on that time. And you can see he's even put like affirmative that this is game over. Like, dude, why are you shooting HE? It could have easily been a win for the T29, but Senna, you know, he did a good job, and he finishes with 7 kills. He beats the lot and nearly 6k damage, well 5.7k damage. So well played, Senna the God from the Silly clan there, and all the damages. His teammate helped a little bit, but you know, he did all the work. And you can see here everyone is pretty much below the below 5k battles. So moving on to the next one, we have seen the T44. We are now moving up to the T54 Blazing Legend. Now this replay, if you follow me, Master Gamer, he posted this replay this morning, I think he did, or last night, I think it was this morning. So already I'm looking at this thinking, okay, is this just a lucky player? He isn't even running a camo. That's the first thing. Is that the first thing you guys look at? What is the first thing you guys look at when you join the battle and you need to read the game, you need to read the team? I always look obviously like this now. I've got the team sheet down, and I'm looking if there's any players without a clan. I'm looking with any sort of players without an avatar, and then I also look around to see if there's any players without a camo. I know you can't go by that, but I mean, a lot of people that is named player 12736721532, and they're not in a clan and they don't have a camo, then you kind of sit there and think, right, okay, maybe I'm going to use this guy as a bit of bait. I'm going to hide behind him because he's not a great player. He doesn't seem a great player just by that, by his name and etc. So I usually use them for a bit of bait, and maybe use their hit points to cover myself, because I know that I'm capable of doing a good job. Whereas that guy, he may be a good guy, but I'm not sure of that. So I don't want to take any chances in using my hit points to save someone like that. But you know, Blazing, I think he fools us, you know. He's not running a camo. Maybe, I don't know what he's trying to do, save credits, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to trick people that he's a noob. So 1 tank down already on his team. Like, he vanished. He absolutely vanished, and no one has came this side of the map. So Blazing can just flank around the whole map, but he needs to be quick, because his team are losing hit points and the enemy team are all going around the sort of the spawn area, except for this guy. God knows what he was doing for such a long time. Maybe he was just waiting to see if the mediums will come, but I think he just left it a little bit too late, and now he's trying to run away. He doesn't want to come up against these 2 tanks here, and he misses his shot, and now Blazing can just sort of go down, and he can just use the DPM. The DPM is great on the T54. Goes for the little bit of the ram, and hopefully he might be able to take him out. It leaves him only on 57 HP, but the Super Persian does take him out, and now it is a 6 versus 6. So the Super Persian there's a Tiger there, and there are a few tanks around the spawn area. The heavies on his team are still around that area as well, so he needs to sort of farm these heavies whilst his heavies are taking their attention. So he is spotted, so he does have to be careful, but his team is dying. There goes the IS-8. Can he get a shot here on the Super Persian? That was lucky. That was close of not bouncing. That was really close for hitting that bottom plate, but he manages to hit the track. So do you leave the Super Persian? I would leave the Super Persian and do exactly what he's doing now, going for the heavies. That is not looking at him, that is looking at his heavies, and just sort of, because the heavies, I mean, when you're in a T54, you can bounce medium tanks, you can out DPM medium tanks, but you know, it doesn't have the penetration, it hasn't got great penetration on the AP. So dealing with these heavies that are not looking is definitely the right choice. And now it is a 3 versus 5. At 3 versus 5, there's still a lot of work to do. And this is what I say, like, even though they're up against newbie matchmaking, I mean, his team looks just as bad, or if not worse, than the enemy team. So he still has a lot of work to do, and it's not like everyone is ignoring him. If someone can see him, they're still trying to do the damage to him. So he still has to play it a little bit smart, even though he is in the newbie matchmaking. You can't just roll up in a newbie matchmaking, go forward and expect no one to look at you and everyone to bounce you. You still need to do a little bit of work to get the damage, and so far he's pumped out 3.5k damage. He's still going to go for these heavies that are not looking at him. He's going to go for the Tiger, he's going to rush around, and then the ST is there as well. Now sadly, there goes the Super Persian. It is now a 2 versus 4. His last remaining teammate is a 1-shot, and again, luckily someone is shooting HE in. What is all this HE malarkey? So he needs to get around this ST. He is going to get shot from I think it's the Super Persian, but you know, I'd rather be shot from a Super Persian than the ST. And luckily he does get the miss, but now he is on his own against 3 tanks. Now he has to take this this guy out. He does exactly that, and now he is alone against 2 tanks. Now what he doesn't know is there is an AFK E75 in the town, so he's going to use this motion as cover. He doesn't want to, I mean, even though he can out DPM this guy, even though he's got the hit points, he doesn't want to take any chances, and I like that. I like the fact that he's not willing to risk any of his hit points to get these shots off. He's always playing the cards very, very close to him, and he's always trying, you can see him trying to just keep his hit points, and he does manage to clear him. So that was really, really well played, not risking anything. And now I always say hit points come in handy later on. You always need your hit points, or you never know when you need your hit points. And when you're alone against an E75, you're definitely going to need your hit points. But he wasn't to know that this guy will be AFK. So just a minute left on the clock. There is 2,200 hit points to get through, and he's now on 6k damage, and he can just get behind this guy. I want this to happen to me, man. I really want this to happen to me. A full hit point heavy, 2,200 free damage here. I really want this to happen to me, especially when you're on sort of 6k damage, and then you've got a whole 2,000 damage to yourself that you know no one's going to steal, and you know what damage that you're going to get. And this is probably his highest ever damage. I mean, we're going to say the newbie matchmaking, it isn't that special to get this much damage, which is true. To get this much damage on a proper game with no AFKs, then yeah, it's special. But he still did a fantastic job. He still had to save his hit points, go for the correct targets, and that is why I showed this replay. And of course, I wanted it to be I beat the bots, basically beat the bots replay, and so I had to show 2 replays beating the bots, basically. So hope you enjoyed that. Well played there, Blazing. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye. With